Apologies for the delay, everybody. We are still waiting for a couple SBAR members to enter, so we will be resuming in about 9:15. Thank you.
All right. So this is the meeting of January 24th. The first item is the Simons edition. Is Keith here in person? No, it's online maybe?
Do we have the applicant for item C1 online? Okay, go ahead and unmute yourself and we'll begin your presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, so Alex, these are pretty much the same plans we saw back in December. It's basically a garage conversion to habitable space. It's legalizing an as-built condition. The only real change on the public facade is changing out the garage door and filling the opening with plaster to match the rest of the building. Here we go. And a new window again to match.
Keith, let me interrupt you. I look at the drawings online. They're very, very complete, especially all the interior details. They're really excellent. So I will approve it. This is fine as it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alex.
Okay. So the item number 2 is the Barber Beach Trust Edition. Is the applicant online?
He's here in person.
Oh, great. Okay, good. Live applicant. I look at the drawings online. What has changed since we last saw it? About the roof line, yeah.
Microphone right
Yeah.
there.
I think it's the next, one up, I think. Yeah, there you go. The angle of the deck, right, of the porch.
Right,
yeah.
and there was lots of discussion about
Yeah.
creating a structure underneath
Yep.
that matched.
Okay.
And
yeah.
so you can see on this, the red shaded area is the roof over.
Yeah, no, I got that.
Okay,
Do you have any details at all of the roof, of the eave or the siding? I mean,
no, I haven't done any details, but we can see on the elevation, it's
yeah.
simplistic.
Yeah, it has a lot of lines. Yeah. By the way, is this drawing?
That's the existing. Go to the.
Right. Do you need? I'm concerned that it might be confusing on the job site for the building inspector to see so many drawings with, because this drawing doesn't relate to it. I
Well-
mean, this is the one, but the previous one is just the existing. It's a demolition drawing, right?
Well, I only included it so that we could go from where we started
Yeah.
and you could see what the final after our
Yeah,
conversation.
go one up, Jonathan.
Oh.
Yeah, I think this one should be called demolition and showing dotted lines what you need to demolish.
We can certainly, I can certainly eliminate page 5 and then you don't have the confusion.
Yeah.
It's just straightforward
Yeah,
from.
yeah, it seems.
I left them in for everybody because it's a
No,
review.
I get it,
Yeah.
but for the building department, either just provide a demolition, an outline of what you're taking out, or delete this page altogether because it's just confusing. Okay, great. Okay, very good. We can approve it as with those changes. All right,
We're good?
very good.
Thank you.
And so the item number C3 is that's the Hope Ranch, the Cantera Avenue. Is Tracy Burnell here?
Can you hear me?
Online, maybe?
She's online.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, look at the drawings online. They're just like you showed them to us last time, and they're perfectly fine. So we can approve them at the full board. Thank you. That concludes the consent calendar. Okay. And so we'll start the meeting of the South Coast Board of Architectural Review. The first item is public comment. Is there any member of the public to speak on an item not on the agenda? Mr. Evans?
I think.
Yeah. Oh, it is for the first? Okay. No, this is for items not on the agenda. Okay. So seeing none, we'll move on to the agenda status report.
Agenda status report. Item number 3, 24 BAR-00167, Bahaj Family Trust Meeting Facility has requested to be continued to the February 7th SBAR meeting,
Okay,
and we will need a motion for this.
do we have a motion to continue this?
I'll make a motion to continue item number 3.
Is there a second?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So,
Motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
what else do we have? The minutes of January 10. Has everybody gotten the chance to review the minutes? What I notice is that there is no, on the first administrative agenda, it doesn't say, this is election for chair and vice chair. There should be something there, like so-and-so was elected to be chair and so on,
Absolutely.
It should reflect what happened there. Okay,
I'll make sure to add those in.
okay, great. Is there anything else that needs to be changed on the minutes? Mhm. Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a,
February 10th.
is there a second?
There's a second.
All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. And we move on to, then, where are we? To the SBAR informational, members informational briefings. Does anybody have anything to share? Very quiet. How about staff? Is there a staff update? Nope.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Nothing from me this morning.
Great, thank you, Chair. Okay, so we move on to the consent calendar. I review the 3 items on the agenda there, and I make a motion to approve them as submitted. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So we move on to item 1, which is the Higginbotham residential alterations. It's the applicants on the, okay, very good. Good morning. Yeah. A live applicant. This is good.
Last time I presented to Santa Barbara County, we didn't have all the big screens.
If you'd like to let us know which one you want to start on, which sheet on the screen?
You might go to the rendering, I think it's called. Oh, and I forgot my glasses. That one. Yep.
Yeah.
My name's Troy Wargle. I represent the owner, Harlan Higginbotham, Keith.
Mhm.
Keith.
Mhm.
And generally, just a quick, obviously you have all the drawings, you most likely review them. Just a quick chat about a synopsis of the project is. Majority a facade update.
Mhm.
Clearly, most part, facade update. And you'll see it's 4 parts, right? There's one main part that is the entry glass, slope glass area between the 2 masses of the house. We'd like to replace that with a vertical piece.
Let me get you a microphone. Yeah.
Hello. Okay. So yes, so the first piece of the project is taking this angled glass, which is more, we want to replace it because it's more a maintenance problem at this point.
Mhm.
We plan to replace it with a vertical pane that's in line with the front door. The second piece of the project is replacing the patio doors at the master bedroom, the living room, and then off the kitchen. The third piece is raising the parapets along the patios for privacy. As you can see, the owners can sit right here and they can be seen from the street,
Mhm.
neighbors.
Yep.
And similarly, up at the master patio, we want to extend this stucco up 24 inches and then leave the rest of that a glass railing at the top of that. And then the fourth piece is a set of site stairs that we would straighten out this wall and come up with some steps that just go behind that wall up onto this kitchen patio.
Very good.
Part of the replacing the sloped window is the requirement to square off this angled window. So this patio door here and that new piece would become one plane. That's all one piece. That's the extent of the project.
Yeah, thank you. And you can show, Jonathan, show the sketch, I think. I was looking at them
Yeah.
online. That kind of shows
Thanks.
the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, explain. So you can see
Okay.
we have a bit of we'd be adding a little bit of stucco above the front door just for some lateral support and more privacy. Much of the project comes to a little bit of privacy. Mostly the big movement here is a maintenance care.
Are there any questions from the board?
No.
No questions. Are there any applicant online that would like to talk, to speak? Any public comment online?
Public comment? Okay. We have not received any letters for this item, but we do have one person signed up for public comment. Tom Evans. Want to turn on your microphone? You'll have 3 minutes to present. Yeah, you just press the button up there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Okay, this site is kind of an interesting site. It was the temple site for the, it's an antiquated subdivision for the, tent sites, spiritualist community. So it's probably the best site in Summerland for views of the harbor and so on. And it's also visible from quite a few areas. One thing I noticed just in looking at these, this is the first time I've really seen the plans. I've seen the description. I understand what they're doing, but one thing that seems to be maybe an oversight, I'm not sure, is there's no weather protection over the entry doors. And I did have some conversations with Richard Johnson, who designed the house and also submitted some comments that should be here. But anyway, we talked about a couple things, maybe recessing the upstairs windows a little bit. You could do it with like a little roof over the entry, and then that roof could carry back, and those 3 windows over the entry could move back. That's just big open space, and that would help with the modulation of the building. Make it, right now it's quite modulated because that 45 goes way back in, and it would just help kind of break up that 3-story mass, which is relatively well modulated, but it should have some kind of entry protection for the people waiting at the door. I don't know if they're going to paint it or not, but a slightly warmer color would not be a bad thing. It's a very stark white. So if they are considering painting it, it would not be a bad thing to go into a little softer white or something of that nature. And the other thing would be to potentially, I know it's a little expensive, but to carry through the architecture, the new architecture would be just to square off the other 2 corners here. Would be a consideration. They have a lighting issue there, or it looks like they've solved it with a nice wall washing fixture, but they did a complete remodel on this just in the last few months, and they put in a couple of clear glass fixtures that are about like this with a big light thing in it, and which is totally not according to the guidelines. So that's it. I think also the skylight is, people are looking down on this above. And so if there's a way to minimize the reflectivity of that skylight, it would be good. So basically, those are my comments.
Okay.
I've got a copy of what Richard supposedly sent. He said he sent to Tatiana this, and I don't know why it's not here, but I could leave it here basically the
please,
comments are
y-
pretty
that-
similar, only more.
Your 3 minutes are up. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, why don't you give it to Jonathan and we'll summarize that. Let me take a quick look. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I live right down the street.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, right. up four. Yeah.
What's your name?
Tom Troy. Go ahead.
It talks about the light fixtures, the skylight, and the rest are minor comments about the windows. The new design does not change the amount of solar gain from the existing design, so that concern is not affected. We're in a heat loss climate and solar gain is encouraged. Okay, these are basic general comments repeating what the previous speaker said. Are there anybody else online or anywhere? No?
That was the only hand we had raised for this project.
Very good. Is there any, I think we mentioned about questions from the board? Okay. No?
I had just one question in regards to landscaping. There's some really large plant material on the east and west side of the buildings between the properties. Do you guys intend to keep those in place or protect those during remodel or replastering, rewindowing?
We had not planned to replace them or take them down. Well, in fact, there's very little landscape revisions other than that new site stair. And I don't think that really.
Thank you. When you go to the presentation, to the drawings, just quickly, yeah. These are the window types. Okay, there we go. Yeah, basically that's the residence and yeah, keep going. Second floor, yeah. Keep going. Keep going. That's the skylight is existing or new or what?
There's an existing hole opening in the roof.
Uh-huh.
That's that exact size, and it's decorated with some steel beams like a pergola.
Mhm.
The intent is to, so obviously putting in that new front window, it's above the front stair, that encloses the house, and that would make that hole in the roof
Okay.
interior. So we're putting a skylight over it. Actually planned to make it a hip skylight so you wouldn't see a gable. In fact, this drawing should show hips on that skylight, so it's more low lying than a gabled end.
Okay. So keep going. And this is the existing and proposed. Yeah. there we go.
Correct.
Okay. And then we have this side doesn't change, right? Like.
It changes subtly just
Yeah.
from the end points of those balconies.
Okay, keep going. Okay, very good. Okay,
I
and
do have a couple of questions.
okay.
Do you have a plan for a cover at the entry, a roof? of any
We
kind?
felt that the high roof, as far as covering the entry from protection it extends out pretty far. So the extent that the entry is covered, it's covered from about 15 feet up in the air. So there is a piece, as you can see, but not a actual, at this point, no actual awning of some sort. But if it's a critical thing to the board, we can look at it.
Okay. And then the other question is, what are you thinking about the color?
The house is it's a white,
Very
and it's a when I see the house, when I first saw it, I thought it was a very good representation of the international style of architecture, modern architecture, similar to I hesitate to say the Getty, but that's probably the most recognizable international style out there, and it's white unabashedly, and we plan to use white windows and just really drive that international home. We hadn't planned to paint it or lessen the color, but I understand that there is, since there's comments on it, let's say that. But no, we hadn't planned to paint it. plan to keep the same color.
Any other questions? No? Do we have comments from the board? Yes.
Well, I think there's a couple findings that we can make for just simple things like mass, bulk, and scale. I think that there's nothing to be concerned about here with regard to that. In terms of neighborhood compatibility, it's already here. It's been there for a long time. And it's not radically changing in any way that would offset the compatibility that's existing in the neighborhood today. So I'm inclined not to dive into any serious conversations about neighborhood compatibility at this point. I think the plan to keep it the way it is probably an acceptable direction to go. Although with regard to the Getty's not white. It's actually it's a subtle, like tannish color. I believe from my last visit there, I remember looking at that material, but it's a little bit off of, there's a million shades of white. Yeah. This one looks like oxide white. So, but I think that the important thing is that you're going to have a white window system and it needs to match that. If your plan is to keep everything consistent that way, I would support it. I also think, I think it's important that when you come back, you demonstrate that you have dark sky compliant light fixtures. And just make sure you read the county's specific ordinances on that, so you have that in your plan set properly.
Excuse me.
It's not a conversation. I'm just making comments. If
Okay.
you direct your questions to the
Yeah,
chair, and if
you have-
he'll let you speak if he wants to or not. But that's the end of my comments, Mr. Chair.
I believe there's fixtures there, right, included?
The fixture is included, yes.
Yeah, would you go to the fixture then? It's with the drawings, it's somewhere with materials, it's right there somewhere in there.
It's on the color board number.
Yeah, that's when it points down like that. Yeah, that's taken care. Okay. Any other additional comments?
I'll just, I agree with what Josh is saying. I think you could, if you're going to be painting to go to a warmer color of white than that, or to match the windows as well as you can. And it's not a requirement at all, but you could easily have a piece of roof in that band between the upper glass and the entry door that would actually provide a nice shadow line and give coverage for entering. But it's fine. It's a good update on the house in general.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just say, I think this is a nice update to what's currently there. I actually like how you guys have kept some of the rounded corners. I think that's a nice touch. I think it kind of fits within Summerlin, a little bit eclectic nature. So I could support that. I would just comment that the plant material between the property lines is very important, just to make sure that those are protected in place. It's very hard to replace those types of plants. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, so this project is here for concept, preliminary, and final approval. The details are, well, they're showing the windows. Details are not going to change. We can make it with a suggestion to create a front, to extend the wall to the floor to create a front door cover. And the comment on the landscape is to make sure to protect the existing landscape by the, where is it?
On the east and west property lines.
Along the east and west property lines. So that would be the motion. So that we approval as submitted with a suggestion for the front door cover and to protect the landscape on the east and west property lines. Is there a maker for the motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
And second,
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. So you're good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And then the project number 2 is the Baba Dogan alterations at, where is it? At 3846 Center Avenue in the Eastern Goleta Valley. Is Mr. Winitsky here? Oh, here you are. Okay, very good. David, come on by. So, good morning. We had a nice presentation last time. So tell us where would you like to show us?
First place I'd like to go is, I'm sorry, I'm David Winitsky. I'm the applicant for the Baba Dogans. I'd like to go to the photo panels. You start with page 4. And I want to go to the top, zoom in on the top photo. Thank you. So what I want to show here is just that the existing pattern of fencing on the property, which is on 3 sides, is the upper fence. It's a redwood fence that's been, in places it's been allowed to weather, in other places it's has a light translucent stain on it. But that's what's existing. That's what we're trying to work with in the work we're doing in the front. If you go to page 6, please. This is the directly across Center Avenue, the fence and gate on that house. And we're taking cues from the boldness of the gate. We're asked to restudy our gates, entry gates, for the boldness of that gate, and also the semi-transparent stain on both the fence and gate. If you go to to the bottom of page 6, we're also asked to bring in more photographs of the view from the public right-of-way. So this is standing on the opposite side of Center Avenue, looking at the property. If you scroll up, I just simply moved up. No, I'm sorry, scroll down to the next sheet. I simply moving up the street with each photo.
Yeah.
You could keep going probably fairly quickly through these. And then if you'll kind of zoom out on this, this is our color and materials. The whitetail white is a off-white. It's not an oxide white. And you can sort of see it from this. It's more dramatic in looking at that against white paper. The Titan black is used for the windows. Composition shingles on the roof are dark gray. And the semi-transparent stain we're intending on the front gates is this redwood stain. You then go to the plans, please. And go to page 6. So we were asked to restudy the entry porch, and we're going to look at it in plan first. What we had before was simply an extension of the eaves at the same roof pitch coming out with a bracketed cover mostly for the entry doors. What we've done is to extend the porch out to get a bigger porch entry pad, and it has a deeper overlay on the existing roof. We were also asked to look at a separation of the driveway from the walkways, and you can see it here. A couple of things that have changed from last time. One is we've decided to keep the concrete driveway that is shown there, and it's a concrete material. It's the long strip of driveway. We're cutting the end of it off so that we get a full new parking pad of permeable pavers, larger scale permeable pavers. We're using the same pavers. Then as we're extending that kind of entry area off of Center Avenue, and we're transitioning to a smaller scale paver, permeable paver for the entry walkway. And you can also see a little bit in this, the boulder columns on the entry gates, which are at the end of the pedestrian walkway between that and the larger pavers in that lower pad area. You could go to page 10. So the entry porch change is more dramatically seen here in both elevations. We've extended the porch out, which you can see in the west elevation, the middle row to the left. And we've bracketed, or we've surrounded the porch with 6x6 columns and beefed up the base and the crown to meet the 6x beams that are basically framing the porch. We've increased the roof pitch on the porch to a 512 pitch from the 212 it was before, to make a more visible and dramatic entrance presence. And if you look to the middle panel, to the middle row of elevations to the left, you'll see the entry gate design. It's a little deceptive. The lower line in that drawing is the elevation at the entry off of Center Avenue. And so it's a kind of foreshortening up to the base of the gates. You can see in the upper elevation, the angled line that shows the slope of the driveway. The angled line behind it will be then the transition to the slope of the grading outside on the front yard area. And we were asked also to show all of the steps in our drawings. There are no steps in this project. The only step is a 6-inch transition up to the porch pad. The other thing that we were asked to study is the the southwest elevation, which is a taller 2-story portion in the upper photo. We had before, those windows were just tall vertical windows, and we looked at several ways of breaking the scale down, but keeping the kind of openness we wanted from the interior. And one suggestion from the board was we might consider transoms. And so we've transomed all of those windows to break down the scale, that vertical scale. We've also been asked to look at additional landscaping details for that elevation. And I'm hoping that Will from Arcadia Studio is online. Is Will online?
This wouldn't be them, sorry.
Pardon me?
This wouldn't be them right down the screen. The link that was sent.
I'm not talking about, no, the person Will from Arcadia Studio. He's not online. My apology then. I'll do my best to walk through the landscape. One final comment before I go on to the landscape portion is the board was clear. We had a neighbor speak last time and was concerned about drainage. The board was clear that it wasn't your purview to deal with drainage issues. And so I met with her right after the meeting and we reviewed it. We also set up a time the following week to meet on site so I could review with her what we were doing. She hasn't been able to make that yet, but we will get together and do that. Just, I wanted to follow up on that piece of it. If you could go to the landscape plans, please. Previously, our landscape plans were only a landscape concept plan. And this is a more fully informed landscape plan where Will has added taller, I believe they're an olive we're in the 2-story portion with additional landscaping. And you can see where we've separated the driveway from the walkways. We now have more aggressive or larger area planting areas. And those are being maintained in addition to the whole of the site being planned and landscaped. If you go on to the next page, please. I'm not the best person to, this is the irrigation. If you go on to the next one, please. This is the palette of landscape materials and a more fully informed layout of plant materials throughout the site. It's rather extensive since we're basically touching every square foot of ground surface there is. So that's all I have. I'm open to questions.
Very good. Any questions from the board?
Did you look at the entry door?
Excuse me?
Did you take a look at the entry door? I think there were comments about the two side lights.
We did, and
One bigger one.
we could, yes, we could go back to that elevation, which is to page 10, I believe. So we studied that and we looked at it, and the option we chose was to increase the scale of the entry in proportion to the doors and the lights, because we really wanted to create a different kind of window door experience than exists throughout the rest of the house. So we wanted to maintain the scale of those, but have increased in the height and scale of the porch to compensate.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, so we're going, I have a question on the landscape, the front yard, you put a hedge, right? I mean, because right now it's all open. There is no fence on the front yard. There's no low fence. It's just a hedge, right?
There's a low fence.
Oh, there is a low fence there.
Yes,
Okay, okay,
that's correct.
okay, very good. Yeah.
And you see it in the elevation on the left center.
Oh,
That's the low fence.
okay, all right.
I have one question. On the north property line?
Yes.
On the north elevation, I guess, is that, what's going on along that fence line? I apologize, it wasn't at this last meeting. But what is happening? Is that that's an existing wood fence there?
There's not a wood fence there.
Okay,
It's just, we could go back to the photos if you want to see it, but it just is the front yard that slopes down to the asphalt.
thank you.
Okay, so.
What we're doing,
Yeah,
sorry,
no, go ahead.
it's good time to talk about it. So there's considerable excavation in the rear yard to repair some of the retaining walls and to support the rear corner of the house. It's got considerable retainage. We're using that fill material. We're not exporting anything. We're using that to build up the front yard to be a more level yard. So it then slopes steeply after that, after the fence down to the center avenue.
So, so you're not having like a short retaining wall? At
No.
property line? No, you're sloping it still?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sloping still.
All right.
We wanted to keep, sorry,
Yeah.
wanted to keep the scale of that upper fence or that north fence down.
Okay. All right, comments from the board then? Oh, I'm sorry, is there any public comment?
We have received no letters for this item, but if anybody would like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. Seeing none?
Very good, okay. Go ahead.
I think it's really a very thorough and careful approach to this project, and I'm supportive of it.
Thank you.
Any additional comments?
Yeah, I would add, yeah, I think it's a nice project, and the landscape plan looks nice, and it looks like they've addressed some of the comments from the last meeting. So I think it's a good project.
Nothing to add.
I have nothing to add either. I think you've done a great job. Little things here and there, clean it up and raise the quality of the whole house. So, we need yeah, final, yeah. Is there a motion for final? Preliminary and final,
I can make that motion for preliminary and final
as submitted.
as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay,
Teach a class in how to
Okay.
make a presentation. You could teach a class in how to do a good presentation. Consider it.
Yeah, really, no, the nice thing about the presentation, David, is that you got to the points 1, 2, 3. Sometimes we hear 10 minutes of this and that and the other thing, and
Contact the AIA and do a.
So I think that concludes the meeting, right? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Again.